Hello guys and welcome back to another Doctor Who episode review. Obviously, normally I do it live, but this week I've decided to whip it up a notch. That really needs to be played in a loop. Anyway, so this week, obviously, I'm reviewing episode 10 of Doctor Who, series 10. 1010. The Eaters of Light. So let's dive into it. Okay, so we open the episode. It's an epic episode. Well, it's not an epic episode. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a girl running through a field with red boots. Now, the fact that she's a Scottish girl in Scotland with red boots, and she's what, 11? To me, I don't know if this was intentional, but to me, this was an Easter egg for Amelia Pond, because she was obviously a little Scottish girl that was about 11 years old that wore red welly boots in her first in the 11th hour. If you guys think that was a bit of an Easter egg, let me know in the comments below. I personally think it was an Easter egg myself, but yeah. Obviously the episode's set in Scotland, so it makes even more sense that it was either that or red welly boots were really common for 11-year-old kids in Scotland. If you're from Scotland and you're watching this video and you have a pair of red welly boots, so let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Anyway, so then there's the Crow. Okay, right? We'll talk about the Crow a little bit later on, because I have my opinions about the Crow. Probably around. Anyway, so the Crow, obviously, a crow and a raven, they kind of symbolise death, and obviously it's there when the girl is there, but it's in the current time period. In the future. Obviously, I should have said at the start of the video, spoiler warning if you haven't seen the episode yet, and if you haven't seen the episode, don't forget to add this to your watch later list and come back and watch this video after you've watched the episode. Anyway, so there's then these mythical stones, well they're not mythical stones, but they're stones with like carvings on that is like, it's a bit like the ancient Egyptians carved kind of pictures and hieroglyphics into their stones. The Scottish, for some reason, like the Celts, they carved pictures and stories into stone because they couldn't write or read, obviously. Even though they could talk English pretty well. It's a good job they didn't start talking about iPhones, I suppose. Anyway, but the stones, the way they were set out when I first saw them, it reminded me of the episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures where it's one with the Sontarans, and something happens, I can't remember what, but the Sontaran then kind of sets them into the middle and is trying to sort of get all these things to connect, and they get it all connected, and then Sarah Jane comes out of nowhere and shuts it down, and I think she zaps the Sontaran. I think it's a Sontaran, I can't remember. If you know what episode I'm talking about, let me know what it's called in the description, in the comments below, and let everyone else know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, so Nardol's in his pyjamas in this episode. Like, why? Why? Did he just not get ready for bed? To be honest, his dressing gown reminded me of the end of what I can't remember what the film's called. Let me know in the comments below. I'm a bit dumb. I didn't do any research. Forgot. There's a film where at the end a guy kind of breaks the fourth wall, and he's brushing his teeth and he's in his dressing gown, and Deadpool took the mick out of it at the end of Deadpool. If you know what I'm talking about, it kind of reminded me of that. It was like, is he trying to do that? I feel like that was the costume they went for. Anyway, so then you've got Bill giving the Doctor all this history lesson about the Ninth Legion and who they were. And obviously the Ninth Legion did actually exist. She goes on about all the history lessons, and I just thought it was funny, like the bickering between the Doctor and Bill, and that's the classic companion bicker. That's what I love about Bill. She's not afraid to stand up to the Doctor and tell him the truth and what she believes and her personal beliefs. Although the fact that the Doctor mentions that he's lived in Rome and Britain, when he first said he's lived in Rome, I was just like, hang on a second, are you referring to Pompeii when you was that bloody rich guy that made clay? I've got something stuck to my foot. I just thought it was really funny. I feel like that was kind of like a little Easter egg for him living in Rome, because obviously he played Celius or whatever it was called, or was it Cornelius? He played in The Fires of Pompeii, which is kind of funny because I'm pretty sure if he was called Cornelius, there is a soldier in this episode called Cornelius, so maybe that was also a reference, but I'm not sure if it was actually called Cornelius. Let me know in the comments below if you can remember, because I haven't seen that episode for such a long time, and I've only ever seen it twice, so yeah. And then we see this girl, and do you know what? And I get that her face markings was supposed to be like her warrior face paint, but when I first saw it, because of the shape of it, it reminded me of, in the episode 42, there's the guy with all the S's or something on his face, and he walks around and they sort of light up or something like that. It reminded me of that, but obviously there was no connection to that. Okay. Then you got Bill that falls into a trap, which, when she first fell into a trap, I was like, oh no, the monster's gonna be there, Bill's gonna die. But no, she didn't die. There was a Roman hiding underground. Funny that. Surprised there were no Silurians. Anyway, so, the Crow. Okay, so the Doctor and Bill, sorry, not Bill, Bill's in a ditch. The Doctor and Nardole are talking to a crow. And obviously, Nardole's saying that they're just birds, and the Doctor's like, no, they're crows. Okay. When you look at the crow, you can clearly see that there was no crow there when they filmed. Must have looked a bit ridiculous, Nardole just been like, oh, it's a crow. When really, when you watch the episode, it's a really bad attempt at creating a CGI crow. I mean, look at Life of Pi. They probably have a smaller budget than Doctor Who, and yet they could create a realistic tiger. To be fair, this crow, in fact, this season of Doctor Who, because of their budget cuts, their monsters have been the equivalent of Jar Jar Binks. Probably just offending a lot of Star Wars fans, but yeah, you get my point. Really badly CGI'd, and no need for it. They probably could afford to have one crow, film it against a green screen, when it's flying, stick that in the background, like when it all flies over and stuff, and then just have that shot of it on the stone when the Doctor's talking to it. Stupid. Anyway. Now, remember last episode when I was on about the TARDIS creating a force field to help them breathe, and I mentioned, obviously, the TARDIS translates and stuff, but it was never actually referenced. Well, this episode, we get the reference to Bill that, actually, she works out herself, the TARDIS kind of translates everyone in space and time into English, and obviously, it's an auto-translate, really. But then Nardole goes back to his bad jokes, like his really bad jokes. Obviously, he says, the Doctor says that the Roman was killed, the dead Roman centurion was killed by lack of sunlight. And obviously Nardole makes a joke, death by Scotland. And obviously you've got Peter Capaldi, who's obviously a Scottish actor, playing a Doctor. And he's just like, don't be stupid, you know. I just thought that was a bit of a comedic moment between the two, when Nardole has come a lot further than I thought he would. Since we first saw him in the Winding of River song to where he is now, I prefer him now than back then, because he makes jokes, but it's not like, they haven't made him a comedic character. He does have his moments where he will add a bit of funniness to a scene, but he's not there for comedic purposes. He's there to serve a purpose and to help the Doctor. So obviously, not having sunlight, not having light killed the Roman, all the Roman things. And then I thought at first it was a wolf in the woods, because you kind of see it sliver past the camera, and obviously they always do that in horror films. You got the little bit of a creature shown, and you're like, oh, what is it? And then later on it's revealed when it finally attacks. But it turned out it was actually the monster, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But I did like the fact that, to me it looked like a wolf, and I just went, oh no, please say it in the wolf that girl turns into in the Forest of the Night. But no. Anyway. The monster itself, the first time we see the monster physically and we see it attack the Roman, I honestly thought they'd ripped off the Alien movie that's just come out. Because honestly, it looked like something from Alien, and it's not the first time Doctor Who have done something from Alien. Facehuggers in the Christmas special. So yeah, and obviously then that we are now with Bill and some Romans, because she sneaked in and she's been attacked, but she was fine, she survived, it's okay. Bill's still alive, at the moment, but looks like I've got a note here a little bit later on about that. Okay, so obviously we've got Bill in this situation, and they're like, no one's gonna die. Irony, she collapses. I feel like that was just put in there for like a bit of a turning point in the scene and the problematic bit of that scene, but it wasn't really needed. But I suppose it explains why she's been asleep for 2 days. Funny that. She was asleep for 2 days, whilst the doctor was in a house for 2 days. Well, a portal for 2 days. Anyway, so I found it funny that when the Doctor and Nardole are obviously then surrounded by all these Celtic soldiers and they're threatening them, and the woman comes and he's like, "You're all children," you know. He makes a joke a little bit later on about her weapon looking like a TV aerial. Not that any of them have a clue what a TV aerial is. He also says to the girl, "Oh, how did you win the battle? What did you do? Throw your action figures?" I felt like that was a bit of a nod to the fans again. Obviously last week I thought the ending, with the kind of them having the fan kind of walk past and just like, "Oh, we thought we were filming something." I felt like that was kind of, it was a bit of a nod to fans and like people that got upset. And obviously this week seemed like a bit of a nod to fans that collect the action figures. It's like, "Oh, you're going to throw your action figures because Doctor Who's not good anymore." Probably. Now, talking crows. Why? Moffat has seriously ran out of... Sorry, Moffat didn't even write this episode. I've just remembered, Moffat didn't even write this episode. Probably why it was a stronger episode. I feel like if it wasn't for the bad CGI of the crow, I think the talking crows would have worked. And it worked in a way that... The voices was fine. Like, the sound, it was fine. But the CGI put me off and didn't make it believable for me. Kind of took me out of that Doctor Who world. But yeah, obviously. Now, I know that my latest video was a Doctor Who theory video about me thinking. If you haven't seen it, the link is in the description below, so definitely go watch it and go check it out on my channel, obviously. Yeah, and basically in that I said my theory about possibility of Omega returning. I mentioned that as one of my theories, but go check it out for all the full details and everything. Now, just to add into that theory, the Doctor walks into this room. It's a circular room. The wall opens. There's a portal. This is an image of when we first ever see Omega's TARDIS. Okay, that's a wall. A very similar wall to this, except it's not made of... Like I was saying, we don't know if she's actually staying until season 11. Okay, so... and the fact that Nardole then says, "Doctor, I think we've lost her," and he's like, "No, don't be stupid, we haven't lost her. She's just missing, that's different." I feel like that was a bit of a reference to... It was a foreshadowing of Nardole preparing the Doctor for Bill's death. Nardole's ready for it, but the Doctor's not. The Doctor won't accept it, and I think that'll send him down a very dark path. Especially if she dies in World Enough and Time and not the Doctor falls. I feel like her death will make the Doctor fall, but it could make him have vengeance and fight stronger. And then, I love the fact the Doctor says, "What are you going to do? Put a guard dog in an attic?" Obviously, an absolute reference to K9 in the attic in the Sarah Jane Adventures. Like, you can't hide the fact that he was talking about K9. Even if it wasn't intentional, the Doctor referenced the Sarah Jane Adventures having K9 in the attic. He wouldn't have said the attic otherwise, and hiding him in the attic, putting a guard dog. And the fact he used to be called the guard dog, like Clyde used to say, "It's the guard dog." It's kind of ironic and it's a bit funny, and obviously a little bit of an Easter egg that the writer slipped into that episode. If she slipped it in or he slipped it in. If the writer of this episode slipped it in, I'm not sure. It could have been Moffat. You know what he's like. And then obviously, this is getting to the climactic bit of the episode. They're all in the thing, the Doctor's coming to the conclusion, he's worked out how to defeat the monster. We see it running up, and yet again, it's really badly CGI'd. Really bad, awful, CGI Jar Jar Binks looking monster in Doctor Who. It's like watching Space Jam, but Space Jam's better. It was unnecessary to have a bad CGI monster. Doctor Who are known for doing practical, and if their CGI... The past few years, Doctor Who CGI has been awful. I watched the start of, when I was filming the theory video, I watched the start of Season 8, Episode 11, Dark Waters. And the Doctor TARDIS is on a really bad CGI plan. Okay, so as I was saying, the Doctor wasn't himself in this episode. The Doctor is known for saving monsters no matter what they've done, and creatures no matter what they've done. Yet, in this episode, he led an army with weapons to defeat and fight the monster. I must admit he didn't then try to, but it's not right, that's not the Doctor. He would never physically harm a creature, yet he did. He led an army to kill a monster. He'd never do that unless it were the Daleks or the Cybermen. He'd at least try and give even the Daleks, he tries to give a chance. Which I don't think the Doctor was written right at the end of that episode. I didn't feel like that was the Doctor. The Doctor just wouldn't do that. That isn't the solution. There could have been a better solution. I was a bit disappointed with the solution. Although the Doctor did offer to guard the door for eternity, and I was like, okay, now the Doctor's offering to guard another door. He's got the vault to guard, and now this. But I was glad that we finally got to see the actual inside of the coat of the blue, with the blue lining rather than the red. I was glad to actually finally see that in this episode, because we haven't really seen it. He's wore it, but we haven't really seen that it's that one. Because this series, he hasn't really pulled it back to reveal it, but I feel like this episode he did. Obviously, he wasn't allowed to fulfill a destiny and live out for eternity and fight off the monsters. To be fair, the Doctor's not really a fighter, he wouldn't kill them anyway. Obviously, they go back to TARDIS. Missy's in the TARDIS, which I thought was really cool. And Nardole's reaction to, like, Doctor, I'm going to protest against this. She's not allowed here. It's like, you know, Nardole really doesn't like Missy, clearly. But I feel like that's because he wants to be a goody two-shoes and he doesn't want to get in trouble, and he basically doesn't want to... He tries to act all like, Doctor, we can't do this. We have to put her back in the vault. I'm sorry, Doctor, we can't. I can't let you do that. And he does kind of a bit of a soft voice, and he's like, don't make me do squeaky voice. Which I thought was really funny that he has a squeaky voice. Which, yeah, I thought that was really funny. Sorry, my eye. Anyway, then I just love the emotional bit. Obviously, it then goes back to present time, and that's when we realise that it starts and ends in the same way kind of thing. You know, the journey's ended, Missy's listening to the music from the past in the present, the music's forever playing. Ood reference. The Doctor's music as he regenerates. Yes, of course. The Doctor's end. All songs go on forever. Your song is ending soon. Obviously, 12th Doctor's regenerating. I think that was a little bit of an Easter egg for that, but they didn't want to directly say it. And then, of course, Missy's obviously crying about it, which obviously we saw Donna cry about it, and the 10th Doctor kind of cry about the endless music. Anyway, and then the Doctor's like, do you think we can find time to be friends and maybe be friends again? But this isn't what we talk about. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is my coverage of this episode. I enjoyed the episode, the CGI took me out of the episode. Story-wise, it was good. I wasn't too keen on the conclusion. Thought it could have been a stronger, more stable conclusion. But overall, the episode was a good episode. I did enjoy it. Out of 10, I would give the episode a 6 because of the down CGI, and it took me out of the story, so I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. But yeah, 6 out of 10. Overall, it was a good story and one of the better episodes of the season, minus the really bad CGI, but let's be honest, every episode this season's had bad CGI. Okay, so the next time trailer. What is happening next week on Doctor Who, World Enough and Time? Well, for a start, Missy looks to be on a mission. I don't know, the Doctor's like, let's put her in there, see how she does. There was Gallifreyan text on screens, as you noticed, there was hexadecimal. Seems to be showing up quite a lot. The Blue People! I don't know who the Blue People are. If you could tell me what the Blue People species are called, I'm pretty sure that DeLorean was one of them as well, but he was obviously larger than these ones. The Blue People are back, they rip their heads open and crazy things happen. But they're back again for some reason. I feel like they're quite important to the Doctor's era and we haven't even realised. Obviously, the Doctor's shocked to see that the Mondas is back. And that Mondasian Cybermen are there. Yeah, I think the sick people are turning into Mondasian Cybermen, obviously making them seem human and then partially cybernetic. But then we finally get to see another shot as John Sim as the Master in this shot here. Obviously, he's just like, gives a kiss. And I'm not sure if that was him saying it to Missy, because my theory about her is true, or if he's saying it as the Doctor to take the mick because Missy calls him his her boyfriend. Let me know your thoughts on it. I thought he looks epic with the goatee. He looks like a good Master, and for God's sake, don't make him fall off a building and kill him off like he did in Life on Mars. But yeah, anyway. Other than that, I am so looking forward to next week's episode. I think it's going to be a good episode. Please don't let us down, Moffat. It's directed by Rachel Talalay, an amazing director. She's also directing the finale, The Doctor Falls, and of course she is going to be directing the Christmas special this year. Obviously there is going to be a bit of time in between The Doctor Falls airing after that and then Christmas. If you guys have any suggestions for any videos you would like to see, let me know in the comments below. Obviously smash that like button and the subscriber button if you haven't subscribed already and you're new to the channel. If you are new to the channel, head back over to my channel on my videos page. There are plenty more videos for you to watch there. I am going to be doing a DC collection update, or a DC collection video, and showing you all my DC collection. I will also be doing one for my Doctor Who collection, and showing you an updated version of my Doctor Who collection. So, that's all for now, guys. Don't forget to, as I said, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, leave a comment down below on your thoughts and feelings of this episode, and if you have any suggestions for any of the videos. And obviously, don't forget to check out my other videos. I'll see you next time for, well, next week's episode of Doctor Who Reviews. Well, it's not really an episode of Doctor Who Reviews, not really sure that as a name, really. It's just it's all from the name. Anyway, yeah, I'll see you next week when we review World Enough and Time.